Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm going to talk about Vrahode, Age of Prophecy. This is the first part in a series in the Vrahode game system, and I got a preview copy of the game to try it out and see what I think about it. And if you would like to see exactly what came in this box, check out the unboxing video I made on my channel. You can also click the icon, the eye in the corner of this video, that'll take you there. And I also did a full playthrough of the first scenario with the designer Jeff Irving on my Twitch channel. I also have that video on my YouTube channel as well. So check that out if you want to learn how to play, because we do explain the basic rules and we show you how it's played. So I can basically go right to the review, but before I do, I'd like to ask you to please hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. It really helps the channel. And if you'd like to support what I do, please also check out my Patreon page by clicking the link in the description below. Patrons get lots of cool perks, and it's all explained on the Patreon page. So let's start with the components. As you could see in the unboxing video, and even though this is a preview copy and it's not final, the components are already really good. You've got a bunch of cards, so you have all these smaller cards of a nice thickness, quite good actually. There's a bunch of those smaller ones. There's like basic items, there's treasured items, there's your skill cards, there's regional items you can find, there's cards for resting. And then there's bigger cards like these character cards, and they all have really nice art on them. They have all the stats on them. They have some bio on the back. So all very good quality and very nice printing so far. The monster cards are also bigger cards, and they all have this nice artwork on them as well with their stats, and some have special abilities that they can use. Everything explained on a single card, so that's really good as well. All the monsters have standees of a good thickness, and they all have these bases. You can clip them on, so you can put all of those monsters on your map as well. So you get a bunch of maps. I got the first 4 maps, which are double-sided, so that's 8 different maps that I could play on. The final copy of Age of Prophecy will have, I believe, 24 scenarios or maps that you can play on. So that's quite a lot, and these are of a nice thickness. They have this kind of plastic finish. It feels like it's dry erase. I'm not sure if it is, but it feels that way. The miniatures are really good. You get 6 in this set. So you have this bigger monster figure, which is really nice, and they have this pre-shaded ink wash on them, so that looks good as well. And you've got all the hero models as well. Here's the centaur character, and their bases are sculpted as well, so they all have a different kind of base. Mostly it's just terrain, but it looks really good. So you got those, and they come in a plastic tray inside the box, so they're nicely protected, and everything is stored really well. Everything has a tray in this box, so you can just take it out, put it on the table, and get ready, and I really do appreciate that. There's even flight stands, these transparent acrylic flight stands for flying creatures, so you know when they're in the air or when they've landed, so that's pretty cool as well. You get these boards for your monster stats, so you can keep track of their health and their abilities. And of course the players also have these dashboards, which are made of a very thick double layered cardboard, and they have all these slots which you put on these plastic trays, and that is really cool. I really like that. You have these plastic trays, you put these on top, so then you can slide your cards in at the appropriate spots, and you can use your pins to keep track of your hit points, of your strength. There's all kinds of stats here. Your body, spirit, mind, focus and presence. You've got your life, your movement, your fatigue, mitigation, and skills. And then you have 2 slots in the middle here, which hold these crystals that you still have available, or when you've spent them, you move them to to the right. For me, it's to the left. And there's, of course, all these cubes that you get with the game. They're pretty small, but they fit in these slots, so you can keep track of all of these things. You can find all of that in the playthrough and the unboxing as well. So the components so far are excellent, just really well done. The artwork is really cool. I like the design of the box already. I like the art on the maps. It's just a nice, this is all, I'll show you one here that I'll pull out from under. Terrain like this, or it's on the sea with ships, and there's all kinds of different scenarios and different terrains that you will encounter. You can fold them up like this, and you can see what I mean with the shiny finish. So this is really good and thick quality. And like I showed, all the monster cards and the character cards and all of these smaller item cards, they all have art on them. So there's a bunch of different monsters, each with their own art, and they're all beautifully illustrated, really, really nicely done. And all of these items also have all of this different art. So there's a lot of art in this game, and it's really nice looking artwork. And as far as I can tell, this is not AI, so that's good as well. The theme is pretty nice. It's fantasy, of course, and there are a lot of fantasy games out there, a lot of fantasy RPGs and miniature games, cooperative games. Many like this, of course, but what I like about the theme is that Jeff Irving, the designer, has created a whole story, a whole world behind this. There's a lot of lore to explore here, so he really did a good job on fleshing out the story. It's just not a generic fantasy with the standard elves and the standard dwarves, etc. But he has whole races that he came up with, all these different species, if you will, different kinds of monsters. Most of this stuff is something I've not seen before, so a wholly new fantasy world, and I think that's pretty cool as well. So the gameplay then, what I found in the few sessions that I played on these number of maps is that it's very important to strategize. You only have a limited amount of things you can do, and it usually boils down to a movement and an action, like an attack, for example, or using an item. And so it's very important to keep in mind the range of the monster's attack and how far they can move. If they're very powerful and you are not really good at defending, then you may want to use these in and out tactics, you know, try and get in, do some damage, and make sure you can get away again. And that's why placement and movement is very important. Knowing your enemy is important. And of course, working together, because the monsters will attack usually the character that wounded them last. So if that's the case, then you can, you know, let the player with the highest defense go last. But of course, you do have initiative that you need to draw, so that kind of determines the order in which you play. But you can still make decisions, and you can still say, well, okay, I'll sit this one out then, and I'll prepare something, or I'll do something else, or maybe I can buff somebody or heal or whatever. So it is really important to strategize your actions after you know the order in which you're going to attack. And I do also like that you have to draw initiative. You draw tokens from a bag with numbers, and then there is still a way to change your initiative. You can still spend, I think it was these crystals, to change your initiative. You just put that token away and you draw a new one, or you swap it out with somebody else, even with a monster. So if a monster is very high on the initiative, you can swap that out with yours and put them on a lower initiative, and you'll go first. And that is, of course, also very powerful, but it costs. So there's a lot of things you need to consider and discuss with your fellow players when engaging in combat. And I do enjoy that a lot. Gameplay is also relatively quick. Once you get the hang of it, at first you will be looking up some smaller rules here and there, and what happens when I do this and how does that work. So you will be looking up some things the first maybe 2 games, at least that's what I found. And you will also, of course, encounter new cards that do new things. Most of the time it will be pretty intuitive. Sometimes you may have to, you know, look it up, or maybe discuss it with the rest of the players, what they think it'll do. But anyway, it's not too difficult. The text is pretty straightforward, and of course I haven't read all of these cards, but so far it's been pretty straightforward, and every time when we weren't quite sure what to do, we would just pick something that seemed most logical. And then later when I asked Jeff Irving about it, turned out we did the right thing. So it's pretty intuitive. The replayability is also pretty good. Like I said, there's in the game that you'll be getting if you pledged for the game, there will be 24 of these maps, and some of them have multiple scenarios. Some of them have just one objective, and some of them will have a scenario A and a scenario B. So that's basically 2 games which you can play back to back. It'll take a bit longer, and you can just continue playing if you want a longer game, or just do one-offs in an evening if you just want to have a shorter game, about 1 or 2 hours. And the replayability is pretty good. If you fail, you can just try again or move on and see what happens. And like I also mentioned, this is just the first in a whole series that Jeff has planned. So there will be lots of expansion, so hopefully all of those will be successful as well. Finally, there's the language dependency. This is, of course, a very language-heavy game. It's all in English, so you will have to have a good grasp of the English language, of course. So there's text on all the cards and all the monster cards, on your cards, the abilities. There's text everywhere, so it is not language independent. So that is something you need to take into account. So that is in a nutshell my review of Vrahode, Age of Prophecy by Jeff Irving and the Weathervane Games. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and please also check out my Patreon page by clicking the link in the description below or the icon at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.